Hello everyone, this is Matt at Get Forged Outdoors. As our big game seasons are winding down here in Colorado and I think pretty much across the country, I know the feeling that probably a lot of us are feeling right now, which is that you want to keep getting outdoors and doing the types of things that you enjoy and you're in love with. Unfortunately, as our chances to practice what we're doing in the field under live hunting conditions are basically over, we're all looking for ways that we can improve during the off season. One way I try to improve, and a lot of people try to improve, is by looking at hunting statistics. And here in Colorado, we get these published every year, and actually 2020 numbers should be coming up here pretty quick. So it's a great time for us to look at this topic a little bit and see what's out there. Now, it's something that some people probably focus on more than others. Some people are just more numbers oriented and other people less so. Some people may have land or a cabin or something like that in a particular unit and just hunt that unit, or if your family's been hunting a particular unit for generations, you set up the camp and everything, and then maybe the statistics don't matter as much in that context. But for a lot of people, if you're a hunter, let's say, that's just moved to Colorado, or if you're from out of state and you're looking to come hunt in Colorado, or if you're what I like to call an adult onset hunter like myself, who maybe doesn't have a long history with any particular unit, and you're sort of looking for a unit that you can call home and start investing time into, then hunting statistics are one way to start looking at different units and figuring out where your good opportunities might be. So we're going to dive into this a little bit today, and I'll show you a spreadsheet I created. I'll have it available to you for free. You can download it and use it as you wish. Can follow along and maybe use the unit that you hunt as an example as I work through the statistics here and show you how the spreadsheet works. And just to clarify again, for reference, this will be Colorado specific statistics. It's not to say that the spreadsheet couldn't be used for other states, but the way I have it set up right now is kind of tailored to Colorado. And I'm going to be specifically using elk statistics. Colorado publishes a lot of big game species statistics, and they do vary a little bit depending on the species. So if you want to use the spreadsheet for a different species, then you might need to tailor it a little bit, but for the most part it should be applicable for most of the big game species statistics out there. Now, down in the description I'm going to have the link to the spreadsheet. I'm also going to be posting links to relevant web pages for Colorado Parks and Wildlife. And for those of you that don't have Microsoft Excel, I'll also post a link to a web page that has options for spreadsheet software that you can use for free.
Now here is a blank version of the spreadsheet I created. If you aren't super familiar with spreadsheets, it might seem intimidating, but don't worry, it really only requires a little bit of data entry and the spreadsheet will do the rest of the work for you, and I'll demonstrate how it works. For this demonstration, I will be using Unit 78 on the request of one of my subscribers, Sheer Will Survival. And at the top of the spreadsheet are 4 cells that you can fill in depending on what you're trying to study. In this case, we are studying elk in Unit 78. Unit 78 is part of Data Analysis Unit 31, and we're going to be studying all rifle seasons. This information can all be found in the Colorado Parks and Wildlife Estimated Harvest Report. Simply click on the link, which will take you to the Colorado Parks and Wildlife Elk Statistics page. And then scroll to about the middle of the page, and you'll start finding the statistical reports. At the time I'm making this video, 2019 statistics are the most recent harvest statistics available. So we're going to click on the 2019 Elk Harvest Estimate Report, and from here you can choose exactly what kind of statistic you want to measure. I'm going to use rifle hunting, and I'm going to use all the available rifle seasons. If you are only interested in archery or muzzleloader, you can find those statistics here, or let's say if you are only interested in hunting second season because you're planning to buy over the counter and you know that this is the only time you can take vacation days, then you could also use second season statistics as well. But for now, I will click on 2019 elk harvest, hunters, and recreation days for all rifle seasons. And once that takes me to the appropriate page, I'll start scrolling down until I find Unit 78. And once I find Unit 78, I will switch over to the spreadsheet, and I want to enter the total harvest and the total hunters for Unit 78 that I'm finding on this statistical report. And I'm entering these in the cells that are shaded light red. I have a color key in the top right corner of the spreadsheet as a reminder for which information goes into which column. The one tricky part here is that the all rifle seasons numbers that we're entering include hunting statistics for both public and private land hunts. So if you're lucky enough to have access to private land, then this is all you probably need to enter on the spreadsheet at this point. But for most of us, we will need to subtract the private land hunting numbers so that we can see statistics for public land only. For this, we scroll down a little further on the statistical report until we find 2019 elk harvest hunter and recreation days for private land only seasons. Now again, we'll find Unit 78, and we'll enter the total harvest and total hunters numbers into the spreadsheet in the cells that are shaded light blue. The spreadsheet is already set up to handle the math from here, so you only need to worry about entering the numbers. The numbers for the green cells are found in the population estimates report that is right next to the estimated harvest report on the website. Since Unit 78 is part of Data Analysis Unit 31, we simply look down the table to DAU 31 and enter the post-hunt estimate into what I call the animal population column on the spreadsheet, and the bull-cow ratio into the male-to-female column on the spreadsheet. Now that's all we need to do for 2019. From here, we simply repeat the process for the remaining years. For elk, Colorado Parks and Wildlife only tracks the bull-to-cow ratio back to 2015, so we won't have a very long trend for that statistic. And interestingly, they actually have more buck-to-doe data for the deer population estimates, but not for the elk estimates. And also, we should be aware that for 2015 and prior, the estimated harvest report does not have a clickable table of contents, so you have to manually scroll down to find the data that you're looking for. And finally, for 2005 and prior, all rifle seasons are called high power rifle. So once completed, the left-hand columns of the chart will show you how many elk were harvested on public land, the total number of hunters who hunted on public land, and the resulting success rate. The far right-hand column is titled Hunter to Animal Population, and it is a ratio of how many total hunters there were compared to the local elk herd. So it's a rough measure of hunting pressure. Below the primary data rows, I included some rows that will show you the highest number, the lowest number, and the average number for the column above. And I also included a row showing the standard deviation for the column above. If you're familiar with statistics, you probably already know what a standard deviation means, but if not, it's probably easiest to think about it as a measure of variability, as in, how much is this particular data set likely to vary from year to year? For example, the average elk harvest in this unit is roughly 371 elk, but that might vary by 115 elk plus or minus on most years. On the right, I included a few charts with data that I thought might be interesting, and also since most people are visually oriented rather than numbers oriented. And below the main table of data, I included a few rows with a variety of correlation coefficients for some of the data sets. And this really gets into more technically oriented aspects of statistics, and that really isn't the point of this video. But in general, you can think of the correlation coefficient as a fraction out of a total of 1. And the closer that fraction is to the total of 1, the higher those two statistics correlate with each other. For an easy example, the correlation between total public harvest and the total number of public land hunters is roughly 0.61, which is a very large correlation coefficient out of the total of 1. And this shouldn't really be terribly surprising, since the more hunters there are, the more likely it is that elk will be harvested. That's about the extent of this spreadsheet. I wanted to include enough data on it to make it worthwhile and interesting, but I didn't want to make it so technically complex that it would not be useful to most people. I understand that there will probably be viewers out there who are very familiar with statistics and probably already have a list of things they don't like or would change. And I get that. I had up to a master's level econometrics for my master's degree, so I get that I'm not diving into the statistical significance and one- and two-tailed tests and heavier concepts like that. For something like hunting, I honestly don't think that you can take statistics and turn hunting into a science. There are so many variable factors that come into play. You could be in a unit with an average 30% success rate, But if you don't pay attention to the wind, or if you aren't competent with your rifle, or you don't have the physical stamina to navigate the topography, your success rate is probably going to be 0, no matter what the unit statistics are. I think the best way to use this chart is actually to just sort of play around with the numbers a bit and ask yourself questions about what you see. For example, in 2005, about 600 hunters were hunting public land in this unit. Currently, that number is down closer to 300, and the success rate is trending down a little bit. However, the animal population has been trending up. You write these questions down and then call the local Colorado Parks and Wildlife office to see what answers you can get for the things that you're observing. Or interview people you know who have hunted in that unit, or people who live there. Keep these questions in mind if you go scout the unit yourself and see if your observations match with what you see on the ground. Don't plan on relying on the spreadsheet or on hunting statistics too much. Just view it as one more tool that you can keep in your hunting toolkit. It's just one more way that you can work to get 1% better every day. On that note, if you have any comments or suggestions for ways I can improve this spreadsheet, please let me know in the comments below. If you found this video interesting or useful, please be sure to like and subscribe. Keep finding ways to get better at what you do, either in the field or on the water or in life, and keep pushing your frontier.